What is happening? Hello, friends. So happy to have you here with me today at Radical Joy. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time with us, well, we're glad you're here. Each week, we're here with you talking to ourselves about things that weigh on our minds and hearts, hoping if you're dealing with something similar, we can adjust our perspectives as you listen. Hey, if you're struggling with something that needs immediate attention, please know that help is available. Just dial 988 nationwide in the U.S. to reach the Mental Health and Suicide Crisis Hotline. All of us here at CLW Studios believe that mental health is a vital part of our well being. The more people I meet and the more places I go, the more I realize how important it is to make people aware of the fact that there is no shame in enjoying the parts of our lives that are incredible. It's time for some radical joy. And this week, the three fingers pointing back at me are for our guest, Diontey Michael. You can find him on all the socials at Tay So Bougie. You can find that in the notes so you know exactly how to spell it. His artist name is Diontey Michael, also in the notes. And you can find his book, Blood of the Fae. And we're going to make sure that we put that link in the notes as well so you can get your own copy of it whenever you're ready. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, as well as please welcome, put your hands together, give a woot to our friend and guest, Diontey Michael.
He comes into a thunderous applause. He comes into a thunderous applause.
Arsenio Hall is standing at the front. You gave us a whoop, and I was like, yeah, wow, okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's so nice to have you with us. I want to make sure that I mention the fact it's so nice to have an author on the
Thank you.
show. It's wonderful to have someone here as a purveyor of prose. And now,
Thank
from what I
you.
understand, that your book is the first I say edition, maybe episode
Yes.
of a 7-part series.
Yes. So Blood of the Fae is like a passion project of mine. I love fantasy. I love magic. I love witches. I love this is Mila, by the way.
Hello, Mila.
She's so needy, and so she's gonna probably be in and out. Eventually she's gonna go get down
She's
like
welcome
that.
anytime.
um, I'm a fan of everything fantasy. I'm a fan of everything magic. I'm obsessed with witchcraft in the TV way, not the like Wiccan religion, even though researched it heavily. Um, and I just wanted to put something out that was heavily fantasized with people of color in it because I don't often see a lot of books or movies that will go into these high fantasy worlds and have people of color. Usually because um, elves and dwarves and all of those things are created from Norse mythology, they generally will not have people of color in them. And I'm obsessed with those things. Greek mythology, Norse mythology, all of those things really get me going. Yoruba mythology, mythology from Egypt, and all of those things. It really gets me going. So I could put myself, well, not myself, a character that I really really liked into those stories, and really just expand it because why can't fantasy have people of color? Why wouldn't it have people of color? You know.
Exactly.
So
No,
yeah, that's just where
agree
I am,
wholeheartedly.
and I'm hoping that this first book will lead to six more, if not three at the minimum. But I have so much to say.
Great, fantastic, and that's the thing we love, like lifting voices, especially of authors, to make sure that we get more literature in the world in a time where it feels as though imagination, creativity are
It's being
stifled by
stopped.
either political leanings or with, I mean, the influence of AI in day to day life.
Absolutely.
It's so important to make sure that we continue to cultivate our artists and their community to make sure that we continue to hear the stories they get to tell. They're so important.
Yeah, thank you. I feel the exact same way, and it's very hard now to find stories of substance. Not saying that my story is full of all this substance. It's literally about witches and werewolves and well, shifters and vampires. But to have a place where you can escape, I'm huge on escapism as well. That's why I play my video games and stuff. But to find a place where you escape and you also can imagine yourself in that place, I'm huge on that. Like you don't have to live in reality 24/7, but when you escape reality, you also don't want to feel like wow, I'm not welcome here either. So
Agree, making your own space,
yeah,
100%. And I love that. It's one of those things where it's ownership. It is your own stewardship
yes,
of a world you create, and the rest of us get to hopefully, use our own keys to get in to enjoy it with you.
yeah, that's
And
what I
I
want.
love that.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
wonderful. Now, I also know that oh, sorry, please.
No, that's exactly what I want. I want people to join my world and be like, oh, there's an entire coven of witches over here who I look like. Or there's an entire coven of vampires over here that I look like. There's an entire coven of shifters, even though they're a tribe and then the kingdom of vampires in the book, they're called different things. But for relatability, you can join and see yourself in all these different things. You won't have to be like, oh, I can only be a vampire. I can only be a shifter. I can only be a witch. Everyone's welcome everywhere in my books.
I love that. That is amazing. It's one of those things. It's so funny. You bring this up, and I please understand. I mean this in the most appropriate way possible. I watch a lot of TikTok. I work in social media, and so I see a lot of these things. And we're always hearing about the cookout.
Yeah.
And the thing that thrills me when you start to say that, I was like, well, that makes all the sense in the world that there would be witches of color, especially black witches, because
Yeah.
the way they use their seasoning is basically magic.
Thank you.
That
I
makes all
agree. I
the sense
agree.
in the world. It's like, of course.
And what's
And I would
interesting,
take it if you think
no,
you can
what's
use it, if you want
interesting,
to integrate it.
yeah, no, what's interesting about that is that when you look into like the Wiccan religion or just like the Creole religion, or some of the things that come from down south, a lot of like cooking and a lot of like things in the kitchen and like community things together are also seen as sometimes witchcraft because you get together and it is a ritual.
Yes.
Not so much witchcraft. I mean, it's seen as witchcraft, but it's not really witchcraft. It's more so about not about more so leaning towards pagan religions and traditions and things of that nature. Pagans really, really, really were all about community and rituals to keep the community together, not necessarily to use their community to inflict things or affect things outwardly, but to make sure that their community together was whole. And a lot of their practices, um, have trickled down into the mainstream as different things, but you can still see where a lot of those pagan beliefs came from. All Hallows Eve and Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and all of those things is bringing people together to do this one specific thing, these rituals to make sure everybody in the family were good and everyone in the family was taken care of. And like back then I'm sure they didn't call it like a mental check-in or an emotional check-in, but that's what they were doing. They were checking in on each other and just being like, hey, these are practices and ceremonies we're going to do to make sure we're good. And when that started being very outwardly noticeable, on now your family is so happy because you did this ritual, other people are going to do this ritual. And it's really just them, it was really just them coming together to be like, hey, are you okay? And that's how it progressed. And now it's like, I'm going to light a candle and I'm going to say this spell and that's going to make me happy. And it's like, well, you're also missing the part where they got their family together and they talked about their emotions. Like, let's not miss the big steps.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's always so funny. The things that you're talking about seem so commonsensical when you think about it. You're talking about giving something a name, a very like woo woo modern age, yada, 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 like
Yep.
a mental check in. Back in the day, we didn't separate ourselves so strongly. So we didn't need to give it a word. It was just what we did to make sure that those bonds remained very, very strong. Just like so many of these rituals that we talk about, honest to God, I think so many of these things are very simply recipes. They are something that people bring together. It is the community that imbues it with that mysticism, with that incredible
Absolutely.
power. And then
Absolutely.
because we're all together doing it, there is a very strong connection between us, whether you see that as like a force or a spirit or a filament, or it's just literally like this amoebic type shape form thing. The power of gathering is very, very important to the whole system. And I think that
Absolutely.
may be part of the reason why forces have tried so long to keep us so far apart. This
Absolutely.
staunch individualism, this incredible divisiveness that they continue to sow among individuals just because of whatever color they choose to pull for, whether you're talking about, a Hogwarts house or a political party. They continue to divide instead of bringing us all together because they know the farther apart we stay, the weaker we become.
Absolutely. How
Yep.
strong is your hand when it's not together? Like,
Thank you. You
exactly.
can insult, but it's way
Yeah,
more effective if you draw it up. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
I d I love the way you speak on this because it sends my brain in 17 different directions that seem so unbelievably commonsensical. We try to make something big and magical and very specific and just beyond comprehension or understanding, whenever it really just comes down to using the power of your own community and your own people to strengthen what you already know to be true.
Absolutely. And that's also something that's very important to me. I always tell people, my friends, my family, everyone, like, you know what you know. So know that thing. So know it, stand in it, and know it to be true. Don't allow others to take it from you. And I was talking about this in depth with some friends of mine because I'm not very big on organized religion. So, and I was talking to some friends of mine recently, just telling them like, I understand your religion, and I'm not against your religion. I'm just not for organized religion. But what I dislike is that you use your religion to talk down on other religions when you're all doing the same thing. And it's just very confusing to me. Instead of coming together and being like, my religion says I need to do XYZ, your religion says you need to do XYZ. Why can't we do the parts? Why can't we both do X together to make the world better? And if we disagree on Y and Z, then we'll go do Y and you'll go do Z. But when we do X together, we could literally make everything so much better. If everyone's religion around the world says feed the hungry, why isn't everyone feeding the hungry? Be
Exactly.
kind to your neighbor. Why isn't everyone being kind to their neighbor? If my religion says that women can't wear pants and your religion says that women can wear pants, well, you know who I'm not going to get upset at? A woman in your religion who's doing something that her religion allows. That's not going to affect me. But what I will say is my family won't, the women in my family won't be wearing pants. If that was my religion, and it would be fine,
Agree.
and I wouldn't
Uh,
impose it on anybody. But then we can come together and say, X, we can do together and make everybody's life easier. But that's just me. Who am I? I'm just one person.
you're a guy with great ideas that, honest to God, I think you reach to the very center, the crux of the whole situation that so many of us have completely lost the theme. Utterly.
Absolutely.
The
I
thing
get
that you
it.
said that really rung so true in my own ears while listening to you talk, so good, and I love it, and I just wanna, like, again, kinda pluck it out and throw it in front so everyone can look at it and listen to it. My religion tells me that I
Yes,
must. At
yes,
no point in any religion do I want to hear, "My religion tells me that you must."
absolutely.
If you are a follower of the same religion, that is a conversation you can have, and moving forward, I think you need to understand that your religion governs you if
Mhm.
you are a faithful follower of said religion. I'm gonna need you to stay up out my backyard
Thank you.
because me and
Absolutely.
mine are using our faith, whatever that may be, if
Hmm.
at all, to handle us. Your
Absolutely.
beeswax is yours. Please keep your bees in your hive. Thank you so kindly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There
I get so
is
aggressive.
Me too. There is literally no, I am such a person who is very much like, that's in your camp. Now, unless it gets like really, really deep and like, I have gone down the rabbit hole when it comes to Scientology and, Mormons and, those religions, because I had this super in-depth time in my life where I was like, I need to understand religion. I have to understand it in all ways. So I started researching all these religions, and I went down these huge rabbit holes of these all these religions that came about. I don't want to say like after Christianity, but they came about in modern times and modern times and modern days, because they're all much pretty old. And it just, a lot of it, I like look at and I'm like, if you were raised in this, I can 100% understand how you are indoctrinated into this and you 100% believe it. And there's no one there to pull you to the side and be like, hey, grain of salt, grain of salt. Take all of this with a grain of salt.
Yes,
But then there
exactly.
are other people who voluntarily, albeit a lot of people are searching for things that they did not get growing up. And so they willingly give themselves to these organizations or religions. I'm going to say that. I'm not going to say what I want to say. And they give themselves to these things. And I kind of look and I think and I go, well, you're 30 now. So you have 30 years of life experience to tell you maybe this is not what it is portraying to be. But that's just me.
Yes.
That's just me, and that's a totally different tangent. Every time I start talking about religion, I immediately get into Scientology and Mormons. I'm just like, everyone
Sure.
needs to know. Everyone has to know.
It is fascinating. It is so intriguing to get into the thick of that and learn about it, especially if you weren't necessarily raised in the faith,
Yeah.
to see the traditions and the rituals and the things that go along with it, the expectations on their members. Fascinating.
Woo.
And to think that
I
one oh, go.
Oh, have you? Do you know who Leah Remini is? She was on
Yeah,
the King of Queens. Oh, love
sure.
her dearly. She was a huge member of Scientology, and she is no longer with the church anymore. And so she had this show, and it blew my mind what they are allowed to do, what they're allowed to get away with, who they're paying in California, the amount of money they donate to the LAPD, how many. Shelley Miscavige is the wife of the head of the Church of Scientology. She's been missing for probably 16 years now at this point, and no one's looking for her. I mean, it's so gaggy. It's so gaggy. It makes you, it really, every year, and I know this is crazy, every year I post on my social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I post everywhere and I go, where's Shelly Miscavige? And like clockwork, there are like 19 Scientologist members who gets under my post and they go, don't you ask about her. Don't worry about my religion. Mind your da da da. I'm like, fair game, fair game. They're fair gaming me. But that's neither here nor there. Sorry, I get so invested when I think about like the religion. Like,
Also, I love the fact that this woman has been missing for over a decade, nearly two, and their first response is, "Mind your P's and Q's about my religion," not, "There is a woman that has been missing for nearly 20 years." Those are
sight
two
unseen.
very different things. Very different. The missing wife of the founder of your organization has been missing. That is not a religious topic. That is a missing person.
And the crazy part, because I know some Scientologist somewhere is going to see this and they're going to try to discredit everything we're saying.
Okay.
Shelley Miscavige is the wife of the current head of the church. Their
Mhm.
founder died, and
Oh,
Ronald Hubbard. He was supposed to come back. I'm sorry, no quotations. He's supposed to come back and inherit this body. That's why they buy all these mansions around the world and leave them empty so that he could come back and live in all these houses. But yes, she has been missing for quite some time.
wow. And now
And actually, the LAPD, sorry, okay, this will be the last
no,
part I'll talk about it,
come
but
on, tell
the
me.
LAPD told Leah Remini, she went in and was like, hey, I need to know this, my best friend, where is she? When you do a welfare check on someone, they're supposed to provide evidence.
Uh-huh.
And they're supposed to say, like, here she is, here's a video of her, or this is where you can reach her, this is where you can find her, so forth and so on. They told her she's fine, she's okay, stop asking.
Huh.
Interesting.
It smells a little musty up in here.
And
Like,
when
all
you
right.
look at who is the highest, who is the Church of Scientologists, who do they donate to the most?
Uh-huh.
Los Angeles Police Department.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I have other thoughts on law enforcement as well. Whew, I'm gonna keep
We
those to
both.
myself. Yeah. Well, and two, it's so funny too. Scientology has such enormous names and such influence connected to it, both in media, influence like just political as well as monetary. Like there's a
Yeah.
ton of funding,
Unchecked.
and if you've got enough
Unchecked.
money, as we have all seen so clearly in the last 100 and however many days, if you have enough money, you can do anything in the world that you want with very, very little
Little
consequence.
consequences. Mm.
And so people like I know John Travolta was involved in for a long time. I want to say that Tom Cruise, and then now one of the largest names I know because I just finished the series for this season,
Mm.
Elizabeth Moss with handmaid's tale.
Yes.
Also a big name in the church, in the organization. I'm sorry, I want to make sure I refer to that correctly. I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
it's yeah,
And
the Church of Scientology, and they treat their celebrities like they have an entire celebrity base.
oh,
Where if you're a
yes.
celebrity, you don't go into the normal church. You don't do these things like normal people. You literally come into this area and they worship the ground you walk on. And what's also scary is that you can't have people around you who are not Scientologists. So your manager, your whomever is doing anything for you who's high prolific, it's someone from the church to keep
Yep.
tabs on you, or so they say, to keep you around those that are holy. That's what they say. And what others are saying is that so they can keep tabs on you. But
Sure.
you know.
Well, and that's just the thing. Like if I was involved in something similar, I'm sure that I would want to protect my investment as well. I'm just not playing devil's advocate. I'm just trying to find an explanation for why something like that would be built in such a manner. I'm like, well, yeah, because if you're around people who are perhaps exposed to a lot of different kinds of people and from different faiths, it may be difficult to hold on to that
To
kind of
yours.
idea. Yeah, of course. Just
And
makes
like Leah
sense.
Remini said, like she was only given a fifth grade education. And after that, everything was this is what Scientology says, this is what Scientology believes. And full 180, because I'm an author too, the founder of
Hmm.
Scientology was a science fiction writer. And he created this entire religion based on I mean, I don't know what he based it on, but it's a story. He
Hmm.
essentially wrote a story and said, this is the religion. Everybody's going to get their own planet after they die.
Is
Like,
that Dianetics? Is that right?
Dianetics, yeah, that's one of
Okay.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Because I
one of the
remember that
practices.
I had a director whenever I was living in Birmingham, Alabama. And his name was Ron Hubbard. And so whenever I put not L Ron, just Ron. And so
Yep.
whenever I would put that on my resume and I'd go into an audition in New York, and they'd be like, "Is this?" I was like, "No, that is not. No, that is not him.
Yeah,
That those are not two. Those are two very very different people." Because I don't
and
I
it's
don't know anything about the process other than what you and I have been talking about. You
yeah,
hear things, but I haven't done any kind of deep dive. I'm just like, okay, I knew enough to be like,
stay
not the same
away.
person, right?
Yeah,
Not saying good or bad. I'm just saying that's just not the same guy.
yes,
This guy
that is not the
teaches
same
theater
person.
in
Yeah,
Birmingham, Alabama. I doubt that's the author of Dianetics. Thank you. Yeah.
right. And I'm sure if you had looked it up, Elron would not still be around, but that's okay.
Again, I was like, okay, sure. Yeah.
Sure, sure, same person.
Speaking of theater, now I know that you have a very diverse background in theater and performance as well,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. I
Wonderful.
actually started dancing at the age of 14. I had written an essay. I had saw the actually go back to the beginning. I had saw this movie, go back even further. I wanted to be a lawyer my entire life. I just knew that's what I was going to do. I was going to say trained. I had taught myself to focus on school, get good grades, like stop being angry, and like really try to become a lawyer. And then I saw this movie called Center Stage with Ethan Stiefel. Um,
Sure.
yeah, Julie Kent and all of those people. And I fell in love with it. And I was in the summer writing program because I love writing. And I wrote this article about how I wanted to be a choreographer and I didn't know how to start. I just want to make movement and do the things that this man did in this movie. And then my first ballet teacher, Annette Holt, love her dearly, the pride of Richmond, Virginia. If you've ever gone to Pine Camp or been a dancer in Richmond, you know Annette Holt. I owe her my dance career. She reached out to my mom. Well, she reached out to my aunt, Dolores McQuinn, at the time, who was in charge of the program, and asked for my phone number. And she called my mom, and I was sitting in the living room, and they had this full conversation. I had no idea what was going on. My mom hangs up. She goes, You're going to dance class tonight." And I was like, "Huh? What? Where?" And so my mom's like, "This woman just called and she said they want to offer you a scholarship. They just want to see you dance." I went, I was a nervous wreck. A nervous wreck. These kids were in there dancing. I mean, like before I knew what it was called, I mean, I was like, they're flipping on their heads, they're jumping. I was like, I don't know how to do this. I am frustrated. I'm getting angry. I was like, I don't know how to do this. This is crazy. That was ballet class.
Uh-huh.
So we started with ballet class and this whole, and then we went
Of
to
course.
modern with Rodney Williams, who I absolutely adore. He was another one of my favorite teachers, and like a fish to water. And I said, I'm never giving this up. I'm never
Good.
giving it up. After that day, that was on a Wednesday. And she was like, your scholarship starts today. And so I went back Thursday and I stayed for a full year. And that summer, she introduced me to the teachers at the Richmond Ballet. And then I joined the School of Richmond Ballet. I had my own ups and downs with the program. And then Malcolm Byrne, who was the artistic director at that time, artistic associate at that time, ballet master, suggested that I go to Virginia School of the Arts. And then from there, it just kept going. And then one of my favorite moments of my entire life is that my freshman year of college, I got to go to UNCSA, University of North Carolina School of the Arts, on a full scholarship, and my dean of dance was Ethan Stiefel from
Amazing.
Center Stage. It
Oh
really
my gosh,
full
what a
circle, and
full circle moment.
I told him my story, and he really kind of took me under his wing and was like, let's get you to where you need to be, and let's push you to how you want to be pushed. If this is what you want to do, and you want to be a choreographer, him and Brenda, who was the dean of contemporary, really both took me under their wings and were like, we can do this with you and for you. I wish I had somebody at home who was going to be like, no, you need to listen to them. But I was a little pig-headed back then, so.
I Find me anyone in a university setting who doesn't think they already know everything there is to know.
Yeah.
On that's just part of growing up. You've got to learn what you do know and what you don't, and leave it to someone else to fill the void for sure.
Yeah. And then after that, I just, started working. I just started working and I just got into it and I stayed with it. I did companies, I did background, I did movies, I did musical theater, which I realized was my favorite. Like, I love the world that musical theaters are set in. Also ballets. A full-length ballet has my heart to the end of days. It has my heart.
Yes.
But musicals, there's something about musicals that are just like, I'm in this world now. Like, I'm in this world. I'm a part of this world. I have my own character. I'm living this life on stage. I'm singing. I'm dancing. The lights. I love it. I love it. I love everything about it.
Agree. Oh my god, it's magic. It's literally I'm gonna leave this guy in the dressing room. Whenever I walk out of here, I'm gonna be this other person who has a whole other set of values. It's a different way of dressing, a different gait of walk. It's the whole thing is completely and totally different. We may have, like what you mentioned earlier, that X, but the rest of the alphabet is utterly different. We have one point of intersection,
Ooh.
and the rest of it is something that we get to create together as a whole other entity, and it's beautiful.
I agree so much. And back when I was performing consistently, I didn't understand, I would tell people all the time, like, I'm a dancer. I love instant gratification. Like, that is my thing. Like, I perform, you applaud, I love it, I eat it up, I come back, I do it again.
Yep.
What I didn't discover is, like, growing up, I had seasonal depression. And so, like, now that I'm older and I understand what depression is, I'm like, wow, performing really saved my life. Like, being able to step away from my feelings that I didn't know how to discuss or didn't know how to address or sometimes did not want to feel at all, and just being like, this character feels good. Or a prime example, I was going through something really bad in a really bad part of my life when I was doing the musical In the Heights. And Alabanza, the song that they sing for Abuela, every time we would sing that song, I would fully cry. And to me, I was like, "Oh, I'm acting. I'm in the moment. I'm feeling it." Da 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 da. And now that I'm older, I'm like, "No, babes, you were in a therapy moment. You were in a
Uh,
therapy session every time that song came on, and you were singing and you were getting those feelings out. Yes, you were acting, but you were also in therapy at that time. Like, that
I
song was your therapy."
Yes, truly. It's amazing to me the kind of things that are just, don't want to say commonplace because I don't think being on stage is ever anything common in the least. But having those moments whenever
Yeah.
you think you are just so connected to the material that, but no, what it
No.
is, you are. It's helping you work through something that was severely traumatic, so deeply buried you didn't even know it was there until it started bubbling up out of you in this moment.
Yes.
Thank the writer, thank the
Ooh.
director, thank everyone for the opportunity because you're going to walk away from this a better healed individual because you got to live through that as this person.
Yes, and speaking of thank the writers, thank the directors, thank all of that. Bear, the pop opera, that musical, oh, thank them, thank their gay stars, thank all of that for making that musical because, woo, I would still be chasing after straight men if I had not seen that musical.
I I had an original CD copy of that first reading because I taught at Stage Door Manor for one summer. And while we were there that summer, a million moons ago, they gave everyone a copy of the show CD.
I also worked at Stage Door Manor.
Really?
Yes. Hey, hey, Stage Door.
Hey, hey, Barb.
Hey, Barb. I love Stage
Yes.
Door. Stage Door is my home away from home. I love it so much. And actually, Bear, I saw Bear for the first time or heard about it for the first time when we were casting for it at Stage Door. And that made me go look at the I think it was the original off Broadway cast or
Uh-huh.
the workshop cast, one of the two. And I went to go see it and I was just like, this absolutely love it. Oh, I love Stage Door. Haley, Maggie, hey
Yeah.
guys.
Shout out to everybody and anybody. Yeah. I was only there for one
Okay.
summer. It was a lot of work if you were working as a counselor. And I was a counselor
Yes.
and a stage manager. It was a lot of work. And we had, like you were talking about earlier, we had some differences. And so that was
Yes.
my first and last summer. But wow, the things
Oh,
they do, the
understandable.
magic they make. Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I gave 3 or 4 summers to Stage Door. Absolutely
Mhm.
loved it. I went my first summer as a counselor, assistant choreographer, fell in love. My very next summer, they were like, choreographer, you got to be a choreographer. And so I did it, and then I just kept coming back. I was just like, this place is so magical. Not even for me specifically, not for the art side of it, because and I was an adult at that time, so I had seen that. But Stage Door had created this place that was so magical for the kids that when you stepped out of your, as you know, when you stepped out of your limousine, you stepped out of your car, you stepped out of
Right.
your whomever was dropping you off, your nanny, your mom, your dad, their assistant, because the top elite
Oh my
1% goes to
gosh.
that program.
Right.
You can be whomever you want to be. I saw kids who were consistently, you could tell, consistently chased, hounded by paparazzi who became children
Yes.
instantly, or children
Yes.
who had not seen their parents for a year because they go to boarding school and then they go immediately to Stage Door and they immediately go back to boarding school, literally cry because they get to see their counselor. Like, I missed you so bad. I missed you so much.
Yes.
That moment made me feel, I mean, this place was so magical. It was so magical.
Yeah.
I tried to send every student I come in contact with now to Stage Door because I'm just like, you need to experience a place where you can be a child, and that's it. Your only responsibility is to be a child. That
That's
is
it.
it. The adults are there to be adults, and they're there to make sure you are able to be a child. Anything that's happening at home, give us your phone. You don't have to deal with it. Deal with it after these 3 weeks. And
Yes.
they do an amazing job with that. Oh, my first
Yeah.
summer there, I was just like, these little kids get all the little babies. They get to be gay. I love
It's
it.
just being themselves because I never forget. For me, I loved
Yes.
the art. The art was amazing. We did Children of Eden. That was one of the shows that we got to work on, and it was the first performance. It was the first musical ever done in the garden. They had never done a musical in the garden before.
There's always a
We were
play.
supposed to do it in another performance space, but for whatever reason, we could not do it there. There was some kind of conflict or problem, or like I think the rain or the weather or something made it so that you could not do Children of Eden there. So we did it in the garden. It was glorious. It was so good, and I was so proud. That was great. The art was incredible. The kids were the magic. Because I remember
Oh,
I was
so
counselor as well,
beautiful.
meaning that whenever some little person came up to me and they were worried that God wouldn't love them anymore because they thought that some little person with the same sex organs they found attractive or loving or whatever. And we had these very real conversations. I remember sitting
Which
at the
were
top of the
allowed.
stairs,
Yeah.
of course, which were encouraged. That's
Yeah.
part of the reason we were
Encourage.
there.
Yeah.
Make them feel loved, included, special. This is so important. Yes, it's so important that these children, especially if they come from entertainment families or whatever, that they continue to hone their skills so they
Yeah.
can be amazing and successes at the family business. Cool. Even more so, even so much more important was making sure that these people felt safe and that they didn't feel as though there was some kind of punishment or problem with who they were fundamentally.
Absolutely.
And it was beautiful. And whenever we finished sessions, I'll never forget this as long as I live. I was wearing this old ratty Aerosmith t-shirt, and this kid, you go from like 8 to 18. Like,
Yeah.
it's like very young up
Yeah.
to like
Especially in
almost
Barrymore.
adult. Yeah,
And Barrymore, it's little boys all the way up until 18-year-olds. Yeah.
little boys. And this
Yeah.
one little boy, I didn't take care of the little boys. I took care of the older boys.
Yeah.
He runs up to me because his older brother was one of mine, and we gotten pretty close too. He is bawling his little eyeballs out, just and snot's running down his face. I'm like, buddy, what's going on? What is it? It's like, it's cool. He said, just think, you got the rest of your summer ahead of you, and you can come back next year. It's fine. It's all gonna be good. And he blew his nose on the tail of my t-shirt. And I was just like, that just happened. Yeah.
Okay.
And and I there is something to be said out of something that seems so strange about the comfort and safety that you offer a young person, that they feel safe, okay, accepted to take the help you offer in perhaps not the way you intended, but they did, and it was amazing. And
Yeah.
it took me a second to really get that, because at first I'm like, wow, snot on my shirt. Awesome. And then you start to think about it. You're like, no, 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 this is okay. I've got tear stains on the belly and I've got snot on the tail. I tied it up at the end and we just kept on about our lives. It's amazing the kind of friendships and the kind of bonds you can form, not just between staff and children, but also between the children, and the kind of magic that is in and of itself. It was brilliant.
I learned so much from other counselors my first year who had worked there before on how to, and I know this sounds weird, how to facilitate other kids talking to each other. Um, I don't I don't often see children of different classes come together because of where I'm from. I see kids of the same class all the time, or you know, in the dance studio we're all dancers. But these kids, some of these kids are like children of whom this person,
A-listers. Yes.
A-listers, and the first thing, that's not the first thing they want to be reminded of. And
Right.
so, you tell the other kid, you try to encourage the other kids, like, hey, this is X, Y, and Z, not such and such's daughter.
Yes.
Like they're their own individual person. And that when we were taught that at Stage Door, I just think that made me personally, that made me feel like a whole person. Like
Yeah.
I'm not the son of Wanda. Like I'm not Wanda's son. Like yes, I
Mm-mm.
am, but I'm Deontay. Like
Thank you.
Deontay is a full person. Like
Yes.
I my relationship to this person should not influence whether or not you want to be near me or in my space. And that, yes, it's common sense, but seeing it in action with children, even adults, like, the counselors, we see people, please forgive me, Stage Door, please let me come back. But, I saw Hugh Jackman one year and I almost ran up to him.
Yeah.
Like, super close to running up to him and being like, whoa, like, hey, like, I mean, hi. And then you have to
Sure.
remember, well, he's not Hugh Jackman. He's such and such dad because
Yes.
she's the student.
She's the
Like
star.
she's the star here.
On this property, she is the
She's
star.
the star, and
He
I
is the
love
lucky
that.
one because he is her father.
Absolutely, and I
How
just think
cool
that was
is
so
it that your
beautiful.
dad is here because you are the
You are
star?
here, and I love everything about that program. I
Yes.
I consistently try to find ways to get back, and literally regular normal work life is always like, you can't take off for the summer because that's not how this works.
Uh,
So, but I understand, but I want to go back so bad. I love it. If I could, I tell everybody about it every time I get to speak. So this is a coincidence that I didn't bring it up first.
there ain't no coincidences. Deontay, there ain't no coincidences in the whole world. Not
Ain't no
nowhere. Not never.
coincidences, okay? No, I
It's
get
so funny.
it.
Whenever I text people, like, okay, that for whatever reason, that idea comes up in my mind and in conversation with me a lot. So much so that whenever I start typing it, it literally auto populates. Ain't no
Yeah,
such thing as
it's a
coincidences. Literally,
coincidence.
just like auto, it just predictive text is just go ahead and fill it out. Go for it.
Understandable
It
because it's your slogan, your motto, if you will.
honestly, yeah. Well, because it's one of those things too. A friend of mine, we have an adventure blog together. We haven't gone on a trip in a while, but we take these enormous, epic adventures all over the world. And he's like, "What are the odds?" And I'm like, "Well, fool, probably pretty good because it just keeps
Yeah.
happening, and you keep asking that question." So I'm thinking, what, like 1 in 3, and we're about
Yeah.
33% in it. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's hilarious to me because people continue to get surprised by the things that were meant to happen. Not
Yeah.
that I'm a fatalist, but it's just like these are the kinds of intersections in our humanity that are here for connection, to
Yeah.
strengthen what we were talking about earlier, because there is a power in that connection. There is a
Hmm.
purity and a truth that is very difficult to fool or trick. When we come together, that shared knowledge, that shared experience is very hard to manipulate, which is why so many try so hard to keep us apart.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah. Speaking of shared experiences, something I wanted to make sure that I got to share with you, especially since I think we probably share very similar ideas as far as treating people correctly in administrations and
Yeah.
politics and things like that. The day that they told us that they were no longer going to celebrate Juneteenth in the United States of America, not putting it on the legal calendar, I was at my favorite restaurant here in my new hometown of Nijmegen, Netherlands, and I got on the interwebs. I got on her interwebs and bought a ticket to her concert in Paris. She is going to be performing on Juneteenth in Paris,
Yes.
and I bought 2 tickets to go see the Cowboy Carter concert.
You deserve all the things. I know you're gonna have the best of time. You deserve all the things. First of
I
all,
can't
she
wait.
loves being in Paris. She loves being in
Number
Paris.
one, she
So she's
loves
gonna
it.
she's gonna show off.
She better. My
You're gonna have a
goodness,
great show. You're gonna have a
you
great show. I know that.
would not believe how cheap the ticket was compared to what you try to buy one for in the United States. Now, granted,
I
Ticketmaster still got their pound of flesh from me. May they absolutely rot in the deepest, darkest, hottest pit of hell.
I still
And
don't understand how this is happening.
it, buddy, we could stick that phrase on so many things.
Correct. Correct. But back to Miss Giselle.
Yeah.
I I have not decided which show I'm going to go to yet. There are two.
Mhm.
Well, I have. That is a lie. I know which shows I am going to.
Okay.
My question is which show to take my best friend to. My best friend's birthday is on Juneteenth. So,
Oh,
right, I know. And so I really want to take him to the DC show because we were talking, we were in the car. He was like, "Oh, I really want to go. Like, I've never been to a Beyonce concert." And so I was just like, I want to take him. So now I'm trying to figure out how to facilitate to get him a ticket without him knowing, get him to DC, and then get him into the show. The moment we start driving towards DC on the same day as the Beyonce concert, he's going to know I
yeah.
cannot. There's no way
Yeah.
I'm going to be in DC and not see Beyonce. He's going to know we're going.
Yeah.
But I do my second show. I'm thinking about going to Houston.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking to Carrie before this, and I was like, I could possibly do a third show. I love Paris. I love Paris. I don't like the smell, but I love Paris.
To be fair, yeah. Well, okay. Well, then allow me to help you with this.
Okay.
I have 2 tickets, and I have
Okay.
not invited anyone else. So, and clear again, no coincidences. Should you care to get yourself to Saint Denis, I have a ticket waiting for you. So all you have to do is show up and
Are you?
show out
I will
because
be there with bells on.
done. That was easy.
Joking?
No, I would not
I
joke.
am gagged. I am
As
gagged.
as
I
a
have
thank
goosebumps.
you, as a thank you for coming on to Radical Joy, as something, one of those things. Again, no coincidences. I did not buy 1 ticket. I bought 2 and had no idea, none at all, who I would take to something like this. I have just a request or two. Number one, you got a dress, okay?
Oh, don't worry about it.
Fantastic, delicious. Number 2,
Absolutely.
you got to get yourself there. Otherwise, game
Absolutely.
on, free reign. Absolutely
I
yes.
will be free reign. Renee.
Perfect.
Renee the horse. I'm on it. I will
Perfect.
be there with bells on,
Easy.
probably whistles, and probably spurs,
Yes.
tassels,
Great.
and chaps.
However you want to show up to show out, I support it. I'm here for it, and you have a ticket waiting for you in Paris.
Thank you. Oh
You're
my gosh, that
welcome.
is amazing. I am definitely gonna get my ticket. I'm probably gonna get it next Thursday, send you all the information. Like, hey, I'm there. I am there. I am in
Yeah.
Paris. I'm there.
Now, here's the thing. We'll talk about it with like logistics and whatever in a bit because I still don't have the ticket because they don't give you
Yeah.
the ticket
Until yeah.
until day of, like literal
Yeah.
day
And
of.
then what I discovered is that because I bought 4 tickets last year for me, the gentleman I was speaking to at the time, and his 2 friends.
Uh-huh.
Um, when you purchase the ticket, even if you transfer it to the other person, they're gonna ask to see the original ticket holder's ID.
Yep.
And so I was not traveling with them because we had stopped communicating. And so, he was like, "Can you send me your ID so I can get into the venue?" I was like,
That seems so sketch.
Maybe not, but I'll be there
I
in a few
know.
minutes." But
Yeah.
yeah, like you have to like wait for the person. And I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Maybe that's a DC thing or
Somehow I don't
um
think so because they made it very difficult to do that here as well. You don't even get the ticket, not even a digital until the day of the
yeah,
event.
I think people were like stealing tickets from
Oh
like
yeah,
people's ticket masters if I'm not mistaken.
or scalping the ever living bejesus out of them because I'm sure it's going to be a
Yeah,
very expensive situation.
selling the same ones over and over again. Ridiculous.
Yup.
How dare you do
Exactly.
that to Beyonce on Beyonce's internet and Beyonce's time and the hour of Beyonce and the year of Beyonce?
On Juneteenth, no less. And that was the thing.
On
I was just like, that's
Juneteenth.
it. This is my protest purchase. I'm like, yes, I'm buying this ticket, and that's what's happening. Great. Super. So if you want to come see her in Saint Denis, it's going to be on Juneteenth, 2025. Yeah, done.
Gosh, I'm screaming. Thank you. I'm so excited.
Good.
Ah! Are you
Wonderful.
excited too? Her middle name is Beyonce.
Oh,
Beyonce, come here.
Mila
Yeah, come here.
Beyonce.
Mila Beyonce.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
now
that's
you don't want to be on
amazing.
camera? Okay, that's okay.
Well, she's seen all of the hollering and the clapping. She's probably like, I don't know
I
what's
know.
going on, but I'm going to stay off frame right now.
Yeah, she's like, "Are you upset with me? What's going on? I don't know what's going
Right?
on." No, you're okay. You're okay, mama.
Oh.
Thank you. That just made my week. It definitely just made my week. So now
Wonderful.
I only have to get two tickets. Well, one ticket to
That's it.
DC for me and my bestie.
That's it. And I know they're not cheap,
Thank
and neither is a
you.
flight to
Yes.
Paris. Like I know that they're not cheap to get from Richmond to Paris, but it's just
Oh,
one of
I'm
those
gonna
things
make that
like great,
happen.
super, great.
I'm gonna
We
make
got
that
we got points.
happen.
We got yeah. It's
Yes, and I
fantastic.
know I know that if I go directly from Richmond, I only have to make one stopover in Iceland, and then I'll be right in
Or
Paris.
Richmond.
So great.
Perfect.
Yes,
Delicious.
yes,
Done.
that's the exact stop.
Perfect. I love it.
We're done.
Now,
Done. Period.
for any of my future guests, please understand this is not typical.
Do not try to come on when there's a Beyonce concert happening
I was
because
just
you will
like,
be disappointed.
I don't want anybody getting the wrong ideas. Like, oh shoot, this is not payment of any kind. This is all completely voluntary. It's just I bought two tickets and I had no idea who else I was going to bring with me because also you're going to have to be
Yeah.
the guy that sings. Like, I honestly don't know a whole lot of the songs from the album.
From the top of the lungs.
Delicious, wonderful. Then what I'm going to do is literally just glom onto your awesome and try to just kind of sort of keep up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're
Fantastic.
going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen.
Done.
All you need is a cowboy hat, and my voice will project far enough that people think there are 10 people singing.
Brilliant, because I do. I have the costume. Costume I have 100%. I just don't
Period.
have a hat because this hair's way too good to put under a hat.
Oh,
So
you're
yeah,
right. I get that. Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah. So
totally cool,
are you going, what's your color scheme so that I know not to like bite off your color scheme?
buddy. Let me tell you something. You bite anything I got. You live fully. You wear whatever you want. All I want to do is bask in the glow of the awesome, standing next to you at the concert,
Goals.
just watching you live fully. I'm like, yes, this is what this was supposed to be. Again, no coincidences. Boom, done.
Love it. Love everything about it. Thank you. Thank you
Oh my
so
God.
much.
Of course. Deontay, thank you for joining us on Radical Joy today. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I feel my cheeks hurt so bad. I'm about to like
Good.
I'm definitely about to go to the gym and have a great day. I love setting myself up for wonderful days. And this has really set me up. And I cannot wait for other people to feel this radical joy that I feel. Seriously.
Thank you. Good. For all of my listeners out there that are listening, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have all the information about where you can catch Diontay, whether it's on his social media, whether it's purchasing his book, and all those that follow to make sure that we have the entire collection. Look for those in the show notes. We are so thankful that you came to be with us today, Diontay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, James.
If this is your first episode of Radical Joy, thank you so much for joining us. What a wonderful episode to start your Radical Joy journey. If this is not your first episode, I'd like to say welcome back. Thank you so much for spending this time with us every week, just so that we can all feel a little bit elevated whenever perhaps things try to get us down. If you're the kind of person who likes to leave a review, please leave us 5 stars on whichever platform where you're listening. Take a screenshot, send it in to us so we can reward you for your loyalty and your kindness with some swag. We've got a brand new look for season 3, and we would love to send you probably a sticker so that you can put it on a water bottle, a laptop, a journal, wherever you like to stick a sticker. And that way you can get the word out about Radical Joy, because I promise you, word of mouth is the most effective way we have of reaching more people and hopefully infecting them with the same kind of happiness we try to give others. As always, thank you so much for tuning in with us here at Radical Joy and CLW Studios. And please never forget exactly how much we love y'all.